The Wizard of Oz is possibly the singular most iconic American film of all time. The film was released in 1939, and it was produced by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. The film brought some much-needed light to the lives of Americans who were in the middle of the Great Depression. The use of Technicolor set the film apart from many other movies at the time, and the colorful cast, fun score, and beautiful set design all helped solidify this film in history. While the film ultimately became a huge success, the budget of over $2 million made it difficult for the studio to break even. It wasn't until the film was re-released 10 years later that Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer finally made a profit. Still, film critics recognized its genius the moment it was released. The Wizard of Oz was nominated for 6 Oscars, including Best Picture. While the film Gone with the Wind ultimately won the title of Best Picture that year, The Wizard of Oz still took home 2 Academy Awards. According to the Library of Congress, The Wizard of Oz is the most seen film in history, and for good reason. The filming process may have taken over a year, but every cast and crew member poured their heart and soul into their work. It was a grueling process, but it yielded wondrous results. Even though the film is decades old, it still holds up to the modern standards of a great film, and it can be easily enjoyed by people of all ages. However, many trials and tribulations went into creating such a masterpiece of a film. Many of the cast members suffered during the filming process, and some were affected permanently. Because The Wizard of Oz was created so long ago, there weren't as many safety regulations on set, and the actors were subjected to dangerous and even deadly conditions. Crew members often used harmful chemicals and reckless pyrotechnics to create the film's special effects. Even though the special effects may have looked great in the final result, they were a huge source of stress for the actors. Even worse was the fact that actors were not given the protection they are today. Young Judy Garland was only 16 when she began filming The Wizard of Oz, but she was treated cruelly by the director. Make sure you stick around to find out when director Victor Fleming took things too far. And make sure you stick around to find out what part The Wizard of Oz played in Judy Garland's untimely death.
Before starting the video, make sure to smash that like button. Do it now, it only takes a second to do it, and hit the subscribe button and the bell to turn on notifications so you can be informed whenever I upload new Chronicles. Also, visit my website, that is tpchronicles.com. There you can read articles and see videos that cannot be uploaded on YouTube. You don't want to miss those videos. The link is in the description box below. Also, join me on Facebook, Twitter, IG, TikTok, social platforms. If you are down with the campaign, type CN, which stands for Chronicle Nation, in the comment section. On that note, let's get into this next video, and it goes like this.
Up in the back there?
It's well known that you have a huge interest in the occult and one of the largest collections of books.
I don't have a huge collection. Somebody wrote I had 20,000 books. I'd had to live in a bath. I have maybe 4 or 5. I have The Devil Rides Out, first edition, signed to me by Dennis Wheatley. There's a book just come out about him called The Devil is a Gentleman. And I have met people who claimed to be Satanists, who claimed to be involved with black magic, who claimed that they not only knew a lot about it, but as I said, I've certainly never been involved, and I warn all of you, never, never, never. You will not only lose your mind, you lose your soul. I don't have a big library in the occult, no. I know, look, the internet and the media, if they can't think of something to do, they invent it. If they can't think of something to say, they invent it. I don't know who thought that one up. Looks good in print, I suppose, but it's not true.
Welcome back to the WofOZ Chronicles, and we are in the WofOZ Chronicles series. People, remember to smash that like button, subscribe, hit the bell to turn on the notifications, and also type CN in the comment section to let me know that you are rocking with the campaign. This is for you, family, and only for you. So give the love back. If you have yet to see Chapter 1B, you must look at it, people. Chronicles are building blocks. And if you miss the slightest nail, you will not understand the message in this part of the Chronicle. We've talked about symbols and populism in the past 2 videos. And we are going to pick up where we left off at, people. So Chronicle Nation, stand up for the truth, because this is your profession. Let's go. It is through an understanding of the author's philosophy or philosophical background and beliefs, however, that the story's true meaning can be grasped. L. Frank Baum, the author of The Wizard of Oz, was a member of the Theosophical Society, which is an organization based on occult research and the comparative study of religion. Baum had a deep understanding of theosophy and, consciously or not, created an allegory of theosophic teachings when he wrote The Wizard of Oz.
Previously mentioned in my video on the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, there are 2 pillars upholding modern esoteric thought and practice. The first is indeed the Golden Dawn, and the second is Theosophy. You may have never heard or may have a vague knowledge of it, but that doesn't imply that it hasn't substantially affected your views by its influential impact on the wider esoteric milieu. The astral plane, perennialism, the employment of Eastern concepts and technique in esoteric practices are but a few significant contributions that the Theosophical Society has given to the occult world. So come along and let's explore together the Theosophical movement and thought. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Angela Puca and welcome to my symposium. I'm a PhD and a religious studies scholar, and this is your online resource for the academic study of magic, esotericism, paganism, shamanism, and all things occult. So let's explore Theosophy. As Carlson highlights, at the core of Theosophical thought is the belief that there is a single, universal occult tradition, the secret doctrine, ancient but ageless, on which all religions, past and present, are in part based. This ancient wisdom tradition not only unites all religions, but also religion, science, and philosophy. This grand synthesis is able to explain and embrace everything: God, the universe, humanity, being, creation, everything. Have you ever heard a more transparent example of perennialism? Theosophists also maintain that this core truth from which all religions and philosophies derive has always been known to the great religious figures and spiritual adepts of the past and from all over the world. From the ancient Egyptian Magi to Blavatsky herself. Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, the lead theorist behind Theosophy, deemed this mother doctrine not to be a religion, but rather a belief system based on absolute knowledge. As a result, Theosophy is primarily a form of gnosis. It's not a faith or an ecstatic revelation, but esoteric knowledge and spiritual science. As Rudolf Steiner remarked, the basic principles of the Theosophical doctrine are found in the two books by Blavatsky, Isis Unveiled and The Secret Doctrine. Other Theosophists have contributed to giving coherence to the system outlined in these books. Examples are Besant's Ancient Wisdom and Esoteric Christianity, Sinnett's Esoteric Buddhism, and Rudolf Steiner's Theosophy, an Outline of Occult Science. The Theosophical Society was founded in New York City in 1875 by Colonel Henry Seal Olcott, George Henry Felt, and Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. The founders evaluated a few names, but they eventually opted for the word Theosophy, derived from the combination of the ancient Greek words theos and Sophia, meaning God wisdom or the wisdom of God. They also capitalized the word to distinguish themselves from Christian theosophers such as Jacob Boehm. As Grothman observes, in its inception, the Theosophical Society has its roots in 19th century spiritualism, namely those European and North American occult currents that believed and practiced the communication with the spirits of the dead. When Blavatsky traveled to New York in 1875, she wrote that she was going there on behalf of truth in modern spiritualism, to unveil what it is and expose what is not. She also stated that she wanted to replace spiritualist belief with the philosophy of occultism. Stated that she wanted to replace spiritualist belief with the philosophy of occultism. Philosophy of occultism. Thus, the Theosophical Society can be seen as a post-spiritualist movement, which makes the early interest of the society in occult practices such as astral travel unsurprising. Over time, Theosophists became more interested in the theory than in the practice, and hence the latter element subsided. The Theosophical Society was an international and perhaps colonial association that by the end of the 19th century had branches in British India, North America, Australia, and Europe. It was also open to people of all backgrounds seeking occult wisdom. Also open to people of all backgrounds seeking occult wisdom. The one objective of the society in 1875 was to collect and diffuse a knowledge of the laws which govern the universe.
Wow.
In 1878, the objectives were extended to include a number of instructions for members, saying that they had to acquire an intimate knowledge of natural law, especially its occult manifestations, to possess their inner and psychical self and study to develop their latent powers, to personally exemplify the highest morality and religious aspiration, to oppose the materialism of science and every form of dogmatic theology, especially the Christian, to personally exemplify the highest morality and religious aspiration, to oppose the materialism of science and every form of dogmatic theology, especially the Christian. Dogmatic theology, especially the Christian. Also to make known among Western nations the long suppressed facts about Oriental religious philosophies, and to counteract the efforts of missionaries to delude the so-called heathen and pagans. And lastly, to disseminate a knowledge of the sublime teachings of the archaic period and aid in the institution of a brotherhood of humanity. The objectives of the Theosophical Society have been revised continuously over the years, but since 1881 tend to concern three matters that are exemplified by the objectives that they put forth in 1886. The first is to form the nucleus of a universal brotherhood of humanity, without distinction of race, creed, and color. The second is to promote the study of Aryan and other Eastern literature, religions, and sciences. A third objective pursued by some of the members of the society is to investigate unexplained laws of nature and the psychical powers of man, and I guess women. The early Theosophical Society engaged in various psychical experiments and investigations, but soon became more of a society for research. In 1878, Occult was elected as the president of the society, while Sinnett started to claim that he was in contact with the same masters or Mahatmas of Tibet, who had been Blavatsky's alleged teachers of ancient wisdom and inspired much of her written works. Blavatsky was then prompted to prove the existence of these masters and did so by publishing the now famous Mahatma letters, preserved today at the British Library. In these letters, Masters Horia Humi and Kut Humi expanded on the themes Blavatsky had presented in Isis Unveiled, such as the presentation of a cosmological system in which human beings incarnated on Earth through 7 root races, as well as offering practical advice, including the promulgation of the requirements for disciples. Despite the internal conflict, the Theosophical Society kept growing in memberships during the 1880s. In 1885, Blavatsky left India for England, where she completed the writing of The Secret Doctrine in 1888, and created that same year a new organization within the Theosophical Society called the Esoteric Section. Theosophy includes a vast array of religious concepts, occult texts, esoteric treatises, scientific discoveries, exotic terms, texts and concepts from India, Tibet, ancient Egypt and elsewhere, Gnostic and Hermetic theories, wild speculations regarding fabled continents like Atlantis and Lemuria, and assorted elements of late 19th century culture. All the various elements are held together as one ideological composite. Cohesion is definitely maintained thanks to the underlying perennialist approach. But there's another concept that reveals to be crucial in this respect, and that's the idea of the masters or the Mahatmas, a collective of spiritually evolved beings. These masters, according to the claim, possess insights into a truly ancient wisdom tradition, from which all genuine Western and Eastern religions and philosophies derive. Their profound insights were now becoming available to intrepid spiritual seekers thanks to the efforts of the leaders of the Theosophical Society. As explained by Hammer and Rothstein, the various sources on which Blavatsky drew were harmonized and presented as reflexes of this vast overarching wisdom tradition.
So family, what does the author of The Wizard of Oz have anything to do with theosophy? And what communion have the Jesuits with theosophy? And this lady right here was explaining it real good because she's a part of it. Everything boils down to this, family. And the Bible told us in Revelation 13 verse 1 about the composite beast, where all occult religions were unified with Christianity and all other beliefs. They call it different pathway to knowing who you are as gods. People, this is the same sermon that the devil preached to Eve. And her descendants are still falling to the same sermon. That is a God within. And knowledge of self. There's 7 levels to this thing. Knowledge of self, that man is the God. It's the same thing. Theosophy is only the occult beliefs that it is the truth. Lucifer came to give to the illuminated ones, the ones that have knowledge of truth, and everybody else is just peasants that can be depopulated. And we're going to learn more about theosophy, people, as we continue in this chronicle.